This week, it was International Women's Day, so to celebrate, I thought I'd make another countdown video. This is going to be my top 5 female superheroes list. Unlike my last top 5, I'm not going to be talking about origins, I'm just going to be talking about why I love these characters. Of course, with any of these top 5 videos, these are just my opinions at time of recording, so they're based on what I've read so far and are always subject to change over time. Anyway, on with the list. Number 5. Batwoman. We've talked about the controversy surrounding Kate Kane before, but today let's focus on the positive. In my opinion, Batwoman is such an interesting character. First of all, she's one of the only Bat characters who hasn't got an entire family of winged vigilantes to back her up at every turn. It's so refreshing to read about a superhero in Gotham who has her own villains and allies, not just some hand-me-downs from the big grumpy Bat himself. But another refreshing thing about her is her love story. It's rare in mainstream comics to come across such a believable and human relationship. Kate and her partner Maggie go through all the highs and lows of a romantic relationship and come through each one stronger. DC may not recognize their marriage, but I sure as hell do. Number 4. Solstice. Solstice is an Indian superhero and part of the Teen Titans. She has the power of flight and she can shoot photon cells for destructive purposes. But what really makes her one of my favourite characters is her personality. It's pretty obvious, just by looking at her, that she has not got the most pleasant backstory. But whereas most characters with similar origins would adopt a negative or dark attitude, Solstice rejects that. Even after she is horribly experimented on, she retains her positive and uplifting personality, believing that everything happens for a reason. This doesn't mean that she doesn't get upset, but she is the first person to accept an apology, and she puts her friends ahead of everything else. This is particularly evident in her interactions with her best friend, Bunker. Man, I wish we could get a Solstice and Bunker book. Number 3. Hawkeye. I think there are 2 common mistakes that writers make when creating a female character. The first is creating a woman that is less a character and more a plot device. Such cringy examples are the damsel in distress, the romantic interest, and even the sex appeal. Ugh. And the second common mistake is when writers are so scared of creating an offensive female character that the woman ends up being unhumanly perfect, with no faults whatsoever. I think this is just as demeaning, as it represents women as these otherworldly beings that can do no wrong. Matt Fraction writing Kate Bishop is, in my opinion, the perfect example of how to write a female character, and that is, just like you would write any other character. Kate is a person, just like Clint is a person. Neither is defined by their gender. They both have flaws and issues, but are both human. It just sucks for Clint that Kate is so much more badass. Number 2. Aya. Just like everyone's favourite female psycho, Aya is a character originally created for an animated show, but she was so loved by fans that she started showing up in the comics. Aya is the product of a science fiction story that we have seen many times before. If computers can think for themselves, can they not feel for themselves? And if so, can they fall in love? It's not a new concept, but Aya is unique in the way that she deals with finding her humanity. The reason she is number 2 on my list is because she struggles with a tragic question. Can there be happiness without also sadness? It's one of those things that could mean a great deal to you, or could just not interest you at all. And it's pretty obvious which side I fall on. Please bring back the Green Lantern animated series, DC. I need answers! Sorry about that. Anyway, let's get to the one we've all been waiting for. Number 1. Raven. What can I say about the Azarathian messenger that I haven't already? I talk a lot on this show about how much I like characters that are constantly growing and changing with each new writer's perspective, and I think most of that comes from my very early days of getting into comics. When Raven is one of the first characters you decide to read everything about, it gives you a good idea of how much of a fluid medium comics are. Raven has been everything, from a teen superhero to an earth-threatening demon to a high school witch and even a ghost. But through all that, the core story that makes up her character has stayed the same. A young person who for so long repressed every emotion she could, learning the wonders and upsets of opening up to people, whether it be to friends, to family, or even to lovers. And that's why Raven is my favourite superhero. She represents something that is far bigger than her powers and her magic. She represents the importance of feeling. Let me know in a comment or a video response who your top 5 female superheroes are. I've been Cameron Morris, and this was Comic Talk.
Oh, it's nice to be here. Bit of peace and quiet, away from that fucker Cameron.
You can't just laugh! You can't just call him a fucker and then laugh!
I don't want to do that, change my mind.